Hi guys, Jamie here from Start Riot, and I'm here with the Specialist Subject Tour. Yeah! So I got Nicola from Doe, Lou from Caves, Ben from Shit Present, and Kate from Personal Best. Hi guys, thanks so much for being here.
Hello. Thanks. Thank you.
So you guys all come from the DIY scene in the UK. Why do you think there's such a strong scene at the minute? I mean, there's 4 great bands from one scene here on this tour. Do you think it's kind of a case of money, like there's no kind of music industry money sloshing about anymore, so people are starting to do things themselves?
I think it's always there and always been there, and people like come in and out of it, like. So I don't think it's it's pretty big at the moment or anything. It's like, it's like the ebb and flow of like the DIY network that goes back decades. Mm-hmm. That's what I think. I don't know if anyone else thinks any differently.
Yeah, or like it's when there's like a thing happening, like specialist subject, where it's like that's like created like a whole other thing, or people who are already doing stuff now have this kind of outlet for their music to get released. So I think there's always going to be people like that around, but there's definitely loads of really exciting things happening at the moment.
It's like when labels like Special Subject bring people together, that know each other anyway, and then something happens because someone is pulling things together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of gives it more prominence, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like for bands, it's like the primary way which we like meet people and get to be in other bands and get to go on tours because of that. So it's so everything just sort of feeds into each other all the time, I guess.
And I think there's a lot of bands in this scene that have members that are in other bands as well. Like I know Ben Shit Present have quite a few members that are in other bands. Do you think that's quite a common thing in the scene?
Yeah, definitely. I think some people stick around for years as well. And just look at Hamish, has been in probably everyone his band at some point. Really.
Yeah, and like you, Lou, you were in Personal Best as well as Caves, obviously.
Yeah, I think we've all been we've all seen each other's like other bands and stuff, and it's like just a rolling thing.
Especially if you're a drummer, you've got work for life, really.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
I'm quite a newbie, so it's kind of I've got a different angle of seeing things come together, and it's really cool to see that happening. Yeah. And only now I'm starting to be in other bands, so yeah, it's really cool that everyone's in each other's
subject family.
Because Jake's in the Exhaust as well, obviously.
Yeah, he has kind of played with them. He was playing with them, and then he stopped playing with them, and kind of still does the odd show and stuff. But I don't think he's kind of a permanent member anymore. But it's cool that people can be in different things and share each other's skills.
Nice family. It kind of reminds me of the Elephant Six Collective in America that had like Neutral Milk Hotel and Apples and Stereo and bands like that in the 90s. I mean, it's kind of a similar thing, like a lot of bands on one label with similar influences. Do you kind of see that kind of thing happening, especially in the Southwest, where I know like Caves and Personal Best from Bristol?
Yeah, I can see how there's like definite links between like special subjects stuff is like it's kind of all related somehow, I guess, musically. But each band are like doing their own thing and doing their own thing really well. I'm not sure where my point's going, so
I think there's quite a nice variation in Special Subject, because you get some labels that literally just book or kind of put out stuff by bands, and they obviously like a sound of bands, but it can be a bit too samey. But Special Subject I think they've got a nice mixture of choosing bands that have a thread in common, but as Kate said, kind of everyone's a bit unique and interesting. And they kind of seem to pick out, I think all the ones I like.
It's kind of like individual voices or individual spins on on similar influences. Do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a variation of influences as well, but it's probably more the kind of outlook that's similar, as in the general outlook and the ethos and the kind of people, as opposed to the specific similar influences.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the thread running through everything, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you, Kate.
Very supportive in the Specialist Subject family as well. Do you think there's like that kind of lack of an industry and let's say like cultural hegemony or whatever, do you think that allows people like that are underrepresented in other areas of society to like gain more prominence like under the specialist subject label? Like basically anyone that isn't white, male, cisgendered, straight.
Yeah, I mean, like I get asked this question a lot in terms of get asked a lot. What kind of like politics do you see that negative stuff about punk scenes or whatever? I think generally like wherever the small communities of things that happen, like I think the sort of issues in wider society are always reflected in that. So it's not necessarily like punk is not immune to any of that stuff at all. In fact, in communities where people feel like quite protected, it can kind of almost be worse, because people feel like, well, I'm punk, so
unnoticed sometimes.
Yeah, or like you can't call me out for that because I'm punk and I believe in this and this. But what was your original question? Sorry.
It's
I know my point was related.
it's like people are more represented than maybe on other labels or other communities.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a difficult question to answer because, everybody here we're not like a cross section of society right here. So, I mean, I can only answer for like my own situation, which is really great.
Yeah, I think special subject, I don't know, is, I guess not every band is just white cis dudes, which is great. But I don't think it's that they're going out kind of picking bands because of that. They just choose the bands that are great, and they're just kind of not close-minded, so just choose whatever bands they think are good that they come across. So there's certain areas of representation which they don't have, but I don't think they're kind of consciously picking out people and
or
excluding
or
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they're seeking out, oh, we need to have this demographic band, or it's not like, oh, we're gonna have to try and find this type of band, going out and looking for it.
If anything, it's probably more every other label that socially is geared to look for specific kinds of bands.
Yeah, I think specialist subject, a lot of their artists are probably down to personal taste as well, like with Kay picking bands as well. Do you think that if one band from this DIY scene or on specialist subject or something like that kind of breaks through, do you think that that'll kind of give it more like mainstream press attention? Like I know Muncie Girls, who I'm literally wearing a t-shirt of, they're doing really well. They've just been nominated for like a best newcomer at the Kerrang Awards. Like, I mean, you think of a band on specialist subject a few years ago getting nominated at the Kerrang Awards, it's kind of bizarre, but it's great, it's awesome. Like, they're such a good band. Do you think that maybe that will get more prominence for specialist subject and other bands in this scene?
I think like because if like Muncie Girls are talking about like the scene that they've come up through and all that sort of stuff, then surely special subject is going to be a part of that. But yeah, I guess it all depends like what kind of directions different bands want to go in as well. So
It's not going to hurt, is it? It's
no,
like,
absolutely not.
and also like for the label,
And they're
it's
our
great
buddies,
for the label.
Yeah. And like if one band does really well, they make sure that their friends are along with them, It's not a competition, which is something Nicola told me on the internet a few months ago, and I was like, oh my god, that's so true. Music isn't a competition. There's room for everybody.
I think that's why, I don't know for anyone else, but that's like one of the reasons why I got into playing punk bands, because I didn't want to be judged for like playing something wrongly, or it's like I'm not competing against another band. I just want to make some noise. It's not about anything else.
That's actually a really amazing thing about the DIY scene, like relating back to your earlier question as well, is that from the outside perspective of someone that wasn't really involved until I met Jake, who was already kind of had ties in the DIY scene, I kind of came into it with this view that bands do have to compete with each other, and then as soon as I kind of became involved in the DIY scene, I realised that that's not the case, and that was such an amazing thing to kind of realise, and you have to kind of chip it out of your brain. It's not a competition, it's kind of lovely to support each other.
And it's quite weird, isn't it, when you go into some other kind of like scene, and you're like you come across people who don't want to help and aren't supportive of each other. It's like really kind of jarring when you go into it. It's like, oh yeah, this is what other
music
people
venue,
do.
and you see that all the time. Like, it's just not a thing in other scenes.
Especially in other genres.
The community is like zero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a total competition.
Yeah, I feel like the feeling is, especially with Muncie Girls, because they are doing so well at the moment. It's like that just makes me feel heartwarmed. You know, it's like
great.
those are my buddies, and they're doing
Someone
really
like
well.
Landy as well has got loads of great stuff to say, and that could only be a good thing to get exposure for that.
I gotta go on stage apparently. Hessie's like getting all antsy.
So Kate had to go and play, so we've lost Kate, but personal bests are awesome. Definitely check them out. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, so I guess what we were saying about the DIY scene being a great community, I guess that's exemplified on a tour like this, where it's 4 bands who are all amazing on the same label and mates touring together. I mean, it's pretty rare that you see 4 bands tour together anyway, so has this been a cool experience, different to the usual?
Yeah, it's been great.
It's half a holiday, really. I haven't really done much shows, just been swimming. But yeah, it's really good. It's amazing how easy it comes together as well, something like this, when everybody just sort of knows each other already, and it's just instant fun for all the family.
Yeah, I was at the show on Friday, and that was the first show, right, of the tour, and it was great. Like, I know this shouldn't be a thing that's noted on, but everyone watched each other's set, and everyone was supporting each other and having a great time.
Likes each other's bands, I think that's another great thing.
Yeah.
Is it different to other tours you've maybe been on? Would you do this again?
Oh yeah. I mean, it is different to other tours, but then it's like what you try and do each tour. You know, it's like, well, you need to, especially if it's on a DIY level. That's what it's got going for it. You know, the community vibe. So that's definitely what I try and do.
It's great. It's really cool. So what does it mean to you guys to kind of be DIY? Because obviously there are some bands that do everything themselves, but then, you know, there's certain things you think, oh, maybe we could do this better. Like, you could get a producer. I think Caves, Bob Cooper mastered your record, and you had a producer recorded as well. And I know Personal Best have had a producer before. So do you think there is a line with DIY? Do you think it's more of an ethic than actually doing everything yourself? Or?
The line is always really grey.
Yeah.
And people like maneuver what they're comfortable with. I don't know if having a producer means you're not DIY, but there's also a weird line between engineer or producer and what line they cross.
There's a middle ground to everything, I think.
Yeah.
Like, it's up to you how you want to do things, but there's always a choice, I think, to go either way.
I think it's like you said. I think it's more of an ethos because I don't know, someone like Muncie Girls, if they're experiencing success and then because of that they're enlisting booking agents or whatever, and we're never going to be like they're not DIY. It's kind of like, oh well, you know, they're DIY minded and no one's going to judge them for not doing every single thing themselves because, you know, I guess everyone does this because they want to make the most of it and enjoy it and get the most out of it. And for some people, that means enlisting other people to help. And for some people, it's more enjoyable to not. And it's more about where you come from and kind of not fucking over other people in the process.
Yeah, it's like sometimes, you've got to make that choice every sort of, there's always a choice at almost every step. And when, say for example, if an agent approaches you to do a support tour and you haven't got a manager or your own agent, that's a pretty bad situation for you to be in because there's no one advocating for you.
Looking out.
So it can be, you know, pretty hard, but
It's impossible to do a band without people's help as well. You
Yeah,
need,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
there's just hundreds of people doing stuff all the time that make bands work, so DIY,
Yeah, I think
you know, you can only go so far with it, I think.
yeah.
labeling it too much just risks the possibility to use it as a negative against other
Yeah,
people, and that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
So,
I think I asked Muncie Girls a similar question. They were like, well, to stop being involved in the DIY scene, we'd literally have to stop talking to everyone we know. And I was like, yeah, it goes back to that community thing as well. I guess it's more of an ethos in a community.
yeah.
And focusing on good stuff rather than trying to pick holes in other things or... Yeah, like music isn't a competition and stuff like that, which is something I say all the time. Like all art shouldn't be a competition. Like, good artists collaborate, and it's cool. But yeah, that's everything. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and thanks to
Thank you for having us.
Kate from Personal Best, who isn't here. Definitely check out Doe, Caves, and Ship Present and Personal Best. They're all great, and look at Specialist Subjects as well. They've got loads of great bands in there, like Monty Girls, Bangers, Great Cynics, loads of other great bands. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all that shit, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.